I'm Erin Sheffield. I'm a volunteer out at the farm less than a mile west of here, right on Bodega Highway, up Bodega Avenue, as a matter of fact. And I am passionate about Luther Burbank. I've been accused of being a groupie. Luther was as famous in his day as his pals of Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. Genius recognizes itself, so Edison and Ford came up from San Francisco to visit Luther because he was too busy to go down to visit them. Luther was born in Massachusetts, and as a young man at the age of 25, he came out to California. But while he was in Massachusetts, he had a market garden, and he was raising early rose potatoes. And he noticed that one plant had a stem on it, and on the top of the stem was a seed ball. Now, this was very curious. He had never seen a seed ball on a potato plant. And don't they look like tomatoes? That's because potatoes and tomatoes are related. So he planted out the seeds, and one plant produced a potato that was very different from the early rose. And here you have the progenitor of McDonald's French fries. It's the Idaho, the russet, the preferred potato for baking and frying. Now, what made Luther's reputation here in Santa Rosa was the desire of a local businessman to get into the prune business. And so he wanted 20,000 prune trees, young prune trees, by the end of the year, 9 months. And nobody could do it, but Luther could, because he knew of a new way to graft. And so at the end of the year, he produced almost the 20,000, and he was called the plant wizard. And then he went on to introduce the Santa Rosa plum, which is, of course, a favorite in people's backyards and also on the counter at Safeway. And his most famous flower came from a weed that he knew in Massachusetts called the Oxeye Daisy. He thought, oh, I'd like to see that with larger flower, with petals as white as the snow on Mount Shasta, with long, strong stems that are good for cutting. So it only took him 17 years to get what he wanted by crossing and crossing and crossing again, hybridizing daisies from 3 different continents. And he finally introduced it in 1901, and since then hybridizers have created Shasta daisies with many different flower forms. Now, this is Helen Keller. Famous people were drawn to Luther, standing in front of the Cedar of Lebanon, under which he was later buried. Another famous visitor was Paramahansa Yogananda, who came to Santa Rosa to visit Luther, and he wrote the autobiography of a yogi and dedicated it to Luther Burbank. He called Luther an American saint. Now, this is the naked daisy. And I've never liked the naked daisy because, she's undressed down here. So I guess Luther didn't either. So he crossed the amaryllis naked daisy with a crinum lily that you see has a lot of skirts around it, and produced the amorcrinum, which is a cross between 2 different genera. And in those days, you can't cross plants from 2 different genera. Luther didn't pay attention to the experts, thank goodness. He also wanted to feed the world. So he thought if he could create a spineless cactus, then that could be planted in useless desert land and turn the desert into rangeland for cattle. So after many years, he introduced the spineless, almost spineless cactus. And one of these pads sold for $1,000 100 years ago. But unfortunately, that project didn't work because the little desert critters came along and ate the little baby cacti before they could grow up to become range. So come out and see us. Everybody's been by, I know. everybody should come and visit.